Welcome everyone. We are at the end. Well, almost. We had our finals in a lot of divisions and our semifinals in Division One in the championship fight. My name is Zotomo, and I'm joined as always by Calamity. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good.
And we are joined by TallImpala as our special guest this season. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for inviting me again. It's still a pleasure.
No
and
problem.
Happy New Year, of course.
Great to have you here as always, a fellow Division Two rival for Calamity of the last couple of seasons. So we'll see how those games went. But we're going to start kind of in reverse order today because of the grand finals in Division One. We want to save the best for last. So we'll start with how the promotion relegation battles went in Division 3. For our promotion battle, Freckles and Orboka or Polybus, and it was Polybus Calamity who just eked out a win against Freckles.
Yeah, it was a very close game overall. Rounds 3 and 4, they pretty much got the exact same score, perfect scores in round 4. 1 point lost for both of them in round 3. And then just a couple points here and there lost in rounds 2 and 5. So what it essentially came down to was round 1, which was in Lesotho in sort of a suburb of Maseru. And there it was Freckles who just, figured out it was Lesotho, but couldn't figure out that it was, a suburb of Maseru, and just sort of placed his pin in the middle of the country somewhere. Maybe already forgotten how it was like to play Lesotho 2 seasons ago, back in season 2. And that was enough. Points lost, or Boca in that round, just putting it somewhere in central Maseru. Not particularly close, but still more than close enough, gaining over, not quite over, but almost 100 points on Freckles there, making it the deciding round. And yeah, I think out of those two, probably both of them would have deserved to go up to Division 2. I mean, technically, Freckles already had a go at Division 2, so maybe it's Orboka's time to give it a try.
Very nice. Yeah, Tall.
Well, it's not an easy ask for me because I haven't followed the Division 3 much this season. I'm sorry for that. But I think Freckles can blame himself, not because of this game, but because he looked in a good position at mid-season. I think he started pretty well to join the Division 2. I think a couple of mistakes saw him drop down the rankings, and he unfortunately found himself in the decider match against a very good player, Orboka, which had the opposite trend. So I think the score can be frustrating for him, and I know what I'm talking about. But we know that on this kind of map, it can come down to small details, and unfortunately for him, that was the case here. And concerning Radox, well, I can only feel sorry for the poor Radox. I think he got all the bad luck for Calamity. I don't know what spell you put on him, but I think he's suffering a lot. Radox played like Radox in that game, and I didn't see his video, but I think he must have been a bit out of it, and I don't understand him. So I don't think he really wants to come back next season. I wish him all the best for the rest, and it benefits Seppo. So it's a bit strange to see these players struggling again. I'm expecting them to do better in Division 3, but in a way, it shows again the general level, and it was a very competitive season.
Yeah, definitely, Calamity. The competition keeps getting fiercer with the addition of new players, and some of the old guard like Radux and Seppo are feeling the pressure as they're dropping down and struggling a bit. But yeah, I think even Radux won't be too happy with the score under 23,000 on a world map.
Yeah, I think the main problem for Radux is that he's never really had anything else other than relegation fights. So it can be quite hard to know really what level he's at, because like if you combine all of the points he's made over all of the seasons, there's still not that many. So you can never really tell what his actual level is at. Whereas Seppo has been fighting for promotion, fighting for relegation in different divisions. For Radux, maybe it was just, he played the preseason very well in like the first time, and then he always was at a level where he could sort of compete in the division, but he was never really at a level where he could fight for promotion. Yeah, Radix himself, I think, doesn't quite know yet whether he's going to come back next season. But I think maybe Division 4 might be the first time he could actually challenge for that promotion.
It'll be interesting to see how he does in another lower division down. And congrats to Seppo for his survival, staying in Division 3 there. And congrats to Polybus or Bucka for his promotion into Division 2. That division is going to be pretty rough next season, so good luck there. So moving over to Division 2, we had a promotion battle between Pluki and Schluti. But before that, Tall, you didn't have a game this week, but overall, how did you feel that your season went?
Well, I got my revenge on you, Calamity. So that's the only thing I can keep about this season. But, well, to be more serious, I think I've detailed my feeling about my season enough in writing. It was once again a very demanding tournament with a very high level. And every year it's harder. Unfortunately, I think I didn't improve myself fast and well enough to believe in promotion. Also, well, I always put a lot of pressure on myself when I was playing the Reddit League, and I think that impacted my play. And for many reasons, I had a lot of trouble during the end of the years, and I concluded that it was better for me to reduce the pace during the end of the season. So this could have played a little bit on my results, but I must admit that my opponents were also better than me. So I don't regret this result too much. We all agree that this division deserved several winners. Well, I mean, a single winners, but several runners-up, maybe. I'm mostly happy with my overall performance. My losses are just details and not massive chokes. So yeah, I'm happy to help my friends Basement to pick the promotion tickets with my results. So yeah, I was not far from taking advantage of a better scenario. I also believe that I have nothing left to prove. I think I have shown what I can do. I can beat anyone, no matter what the result of this tournament is. So yeah, I let my spot to a more motivated player. Maybe he or she will have the chance to do better than me and succeed where I failed. And I'm going to be more selective about my tournaments and enjoy myself in a different way to progress. The most important thing for me is to become better than Calamity again. And the rest we'll see.
See, well, yeah. So it was pretty close last season, but you kind of fell off. I mean, you're seventh in the table, but I mean, that doesn't really show how well and how tight it all was. Like you're only 3 points off a promotion spot yourself, despite that. So, I mean, you said you had a bit of a slip, but looking at a lot of the stats, you were right there in the hunt just as much as you were last season.
Yeah.
And the competition got fiercer. So I would definitely give you props for that you're at least able to keep up with the new tough competition and you didn't get completely run over by all of that.
Yeah, and it was essentially, it was 127 points if you had more in your last game, then you would have been in the promotion playoff instead of 7. So that just shows how close it was. And just in general, I do think in a lot of things you are a better player than me. I might just be better at country-specific maps.
Yeah.
For now.
And consistency, maybe.
Well, at least this season, Calamity has been quite consistent, but he managed to shake off his little bit of this. You used to always one round that you would throw, and you managed to shake that a little bit this season, and that got you the first place. So congrats on that. But yeah, back to our promotion and relegation fights in Division 2. Pluki versus Schluti. Schluti, the long-time player against the newcomer Pluki. But this time, Pluki was the better, getting that promotion spot by just over 700 points. Math, right? How did that match turn out like you thought it would, Tall?
Well, the seed was nice to play and well balanced. For the promotion decider, it was closed again, but Plucky seems to be a bit more accurate overall. The match was clearly played on the French round, I think. I don't know how Schludi experienced it, but I think it's the kind of location that gives a strong advantage to a French player. I mean, the Oleron spot is a very well-known tourist site in the country, and it's pretty isolated enough to trap a foreign player. So, but in any case, Plucky had a nice season. It was hard to pick favorites for Division 2, given the general level, except perhaps for a very popular Austrian, but I can't say his name anymore. But Plucky was one of them for me. So yeah, we'll see what he can do in Division 1.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Calamity, Plucky had a lot of draws that saw him just get into those promotion playoffs, and finally a little bit of luck there in his promotion battle.
Yeah, he definitely deserved it as well. He pretty much held the highest total score throughout most of the season until I overtook him in like the last week. And he was still only like 900 points behind me and like 7,000 points ahead of Schludi. And yeah, Tom mentioned it, slight advantage maybe there for Plucky with that round in Oleron in France. It makes sense for that to be a popular tourist spot because quite a lot of people actually got that, and I'd never heard of the place. But yeah, this was a fun seed where I showed again like what I did in like the last few seasons, and it still sometimes happens where like in France I saw a phone code and remembered the phone code's wrong, and in Sweden I just found nothing and guessed in the wrong area. In Indonesia I forgot the cardinal direction, what the Indonesian word was in English. Just not really a great seed for me. But yeah, for Schludi, I think the one positive thing for him in that, or not necessarily a positive, but at least it didn't come down to just that French round. The points he lost in round 1 in Colombia alone were enough to lose against Plucky. So that's at least something, I guess, where you can just say, okay, it wasn't just because he got his home country in one of the rounds. But yeah, overall, I think both of them did very well in that seed. And I definitely think Schludi, if he plays again next season, is still a favorite for fighting for the promotion spot again.
Definitely. At the other end of things, the American Derby to stay in Division 2, and a really disappointing result from Tescotac, really not up for the match at all, Tall.
Yeah, so no US round for them, for this seed. I truly think that this seed was made for me. So about the relegation, I think the season showed the gap between Tescotac, Pastec, and the rest. So we could imagine that this game would be very hard for Tescotac. The thing is, Cameron did what he had to do to get through it by playing at the level he used to show last season. So in the end, he saves himself from the painful season, I guess, and will be able to try his luck again. And for Tescotac, he's in a better position to talk about that than I am. But I think his background in the tournament shows how much more of demand it has and how good players have rounded out the general roster. So I hope he will enjoy Division 3 more, and I hope he comes back soon in Division 2.
Yeah, Real Clyde fighting for survival here, Calamity, but he did have the third highest score in the division. So definitely a tough opponent for Tescotac to begin with, who was kind of barely fighting to even stay up from the automatic promotion spots there.
Yeah, Clyde was essentially the other one who held the highest total score for a while, more so at the beginning of the season, I think, until Plucky took over. But even then at the end there, although partially also due to the fact that like out of the last 6 or 7 maps, essentially most of them were almost 25Ks or close. So total score differences didn't change all that much. But yeah, it was essentially me, Plucky, and Clyde were separated by like 1,400 points at the end there. Ahead of Toll, I think, with the 4th highest score, who was like 6,000 points behind that. So Clyde definitely a bit unlucky to end up in that spot in the first place. And Tescotac himself didn't actually have that bad of a total score either. Although for Tescotac, I think it was mostly relative consistency that got him there. He didn't really have any that bad games. Whereas some of the people who were above him in the ranking had some not so good games, but made up for it with better games in other weeks. So it was really only Patriots and Pastek who were lacking far behind in terms of total score. But yeah, just looking at past seasons as well, Clyde was definitely a great performer in season 3 as well. And again, this season, good performances, just a bit unlucky in the regular season. So yeah, he was the favorite going into this game for sure, and he showed it as well. Another great performance from him. Only 200 points behind Schludi, who was fighting for promotion there. And Teskotak, yeah, he lost all 5 rounds against Clyde. So it's definitely a deserved loss in that sense. But if he continues to play like he has on occasion this season so far, I think he definitely would have also deserved to stay up. Although I think he already mentioned in on Reddit that he was also going to not play next season because he's too busy IRL. But he also said that maybe if he at one point in the future gets more time again, he'll come back, and I hope he will. But yeah, we'll see. He's definitely good enough for a fight for promotion in a Division 3 if he ever does come back.
Very nice. Well, let's move over to Division 1 and the relegation battle between Chicago and Bulgur at the bottom, near the bottom of the table, and Bulgur just edging out the American in this one. It is worth noting that Chicago was on vacation and was playing in unoptimal conditions, but nonetheless, a loss is a loss there, Calamity.
Yeah, and it essentially, like 4 rounds were pretty much even. It was rounds 2 and 3 that were, well, 2 5Ks for Bulgur, 5K and 4994 for Chicago. And rounds 4 and 5 were mistakes from both of them, but they sort of evened each other out, which meant that the deciding factor was round 1, which was in Indonesia, in sort of on the south coast on Borneo, where Bulgur pretty much got like 5 kilometers away from the exact spot, and Chicago had, well, no idea pretty much where in Indonesia it was, which decided that game. And I think here as well, both of them would have deserved to stay up. I think Bulgur had a slightly better season overall, but Chicago was a lot higher in terms of total points and a lot closer to saving himself in that regard. So again, I think out of those two, both of them would have deserved another shot at Division 1. But yeah, for Chicago, second time in season in Division 1, second time he's gotten relegated in the relegation playoff. So we'll see if he wants to have another go next season. But again, he also said that probably too busy with real life responsibilities, closing in on finishing with university. So that's understandable. And yeah, we'll see if he comes back, like maybe for season 6, maybe for season 7, and has another go at maybe repeating what he's done so far in these 4 seasons when he's been in Division 2, which has been winning it.
Yeah, a bit of an elevator, Chicago, going back and forth, Tall.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame to see him riding the roller coaster between Division 1 and 2 every season, but yeah, it doesn't matter anymore now. So yeah, enjoy your break, my friends. I found the seed challenging enough for a semi-final and for the decider match, of course. The risk with this kind of map was to have completely isolated and unplayable rounds. So even if some points like the Uruguayan one were harder to play because of the damn Google Street Navigation issues of the period, I think there are possibilities to make good scores, and most of the players involved show it, I think. But concerning this decider match, it was a close game, of course. Both players had the same difficulties on this seed. I agree with Calamity about that. And you can see that several times they had to place their point just using their feeling because apparently they didn't have enough information. So in this game, Bulgur was better, but well, it's not too surprising for me. Assuming that all the French players concerned will be in the season 5, I think we will have maybe 4 French players in Division 1 with Plucky.
Oh boy.
That's right.
All right. Well, we hopefully one of those French ones can make it the final next time.
It might even be 5. It depends a bit on because currently we've got Orpheus, Blinky, Verdoc, and Bulgor, and Plucky joins, and then it depends on whether probably Blinky is the more unsure one on whether he'll continue so far. It depends on that how many there will be.
Yeah, and the preseason maybe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
maybe
we could get new Frenchmen as well, as it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's look at that championship battle and the semifinal results. The 2 Frenchmen, at least this season, not up to the task. The 2 professional pros, the finalists from last season, taking the victory in both of the matches. A much closer match for Boxa and Blinky Calamity than Raidman and Orpheus.
Yeah, I'm going to go quickly through the 5 rounds we had and talk a bit about that as well. It started us off in Indonesia, in a pretty... Yeah. I don't really want to call it rural because it was right next to a major city, but in sort of a very outskirts area and almost like a little island, where I personally found no information whatsoever and ended up 40 kilometers away in all of Indonesia by a random guess, essentially. And pretty much all of them got the general region except for Orpheus, which was very unlucky for him, because that already pretty much sealed his fate against Raidman. The rest of the seed wasn't quite as difficult, although it still had its tricky parts. Round 2, not one of them, just outside of Enugu. Essentially, we had a round in, might have been the Africa seed of Division 2, that was about 2 kilometers away from that round that we had here, just north of Enugu. So no real problems here. A couple points lost again for Orpheus, but other than that, 5Ks all around. Round 3 then into Iquique in the north of Chile. Also no real problem, was a very obvious round. Although again, 7 points dropped for Orpheus, who at this point was probably not in the greatest of moods. Let's just say it like that. Before round 4 went into Argentina, where quite a lot of people had problems, but our 4 semifinalists were none of them. They all found the location relatively easily, Blinky being the slowest in 2 minutes 48, so even he still had a bit of time left at the end there. And to finish us off, we went into Uruguay, as Tall already mentioned, with the movement bug in Google Street View currently. A bit of an annoying round to play because, well, there wasn't a lot of information out there.
Yeah,
and it was possible to get all the way south towards a sign that essentially told you pretty much exactly where you are. But that was only possible with like 10, 15 seconds remaining at most. Maybe if you got really lucky and went straight away and didn't stop for anything, maybe could have had like 20, 25 seconds left. And that sign told you in Canelones, which is the state surrounding Montevideo. And also probably the biggest or one of the biggest cities in that state. But yeah, not a lot of them actually found that information. I can tell you it was actually only Blinky and Raidman, I think, who even made it to that sign, and Blinky couldn't get any use out of it. So he ended up losing his semifinal on that round against Boxa by where he dropped about 300 points. He was actually, until that point, he was leading by like 20 something points. And then just, random guess in Uruguay. Even if he had actually the advantage in terms of information over Boxa, lost him that game. And for Raidman against Orpheus, it was already decided after round 1. But even then, Raidman winning that round, I think, let me actually check. I think Raidman won all of the rounds against Orpheus as well. So definitely deserved going through into that final. And we'll get a repeat of it. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, if you want to see how these games went down round by round, we do have all 4 videos. So we will have both of those casts up in the coming days for you to watch. So you can watch exactly how it went down and how things played out. Tall, any comments for you on these semifinal results?
Yeah, well, obviously I was hoping for a better end for my French compatriots in this semi-final. I honestly thought that Orpheus could have an advantage on the map, as he has shown an amazing consistency all the season. But unfortunately for him, he missed out on the match, especially because of this first tricky round in Indonesia. I felt Schmingo wanted to punish us before leaving the organization, maybe. But well, Redman explained his score a little in the comments under his video. It's amazing to see how insightful and I'm not sure about this word, but maybe reasoned he can be in this kind of difficult rounds. So yeah, in the end, he's going to have a chance to double his title. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen in this final. I wish him the best of luck. And concerning the Boxa versus Blinky match, this duality really punctuated the end of the year, I think, on the Reddit tournaments. I think it was their fourth or fifth direct confrontation, right? And you can have the map battle league preseason. So for me, I thought this game was pretty much 50-50. And I'm not surprised to see these two players so close in terms of scores. So for them, it was the last round that made the difference. And maybe Boxa had some reflexes from the first week of last season in Uruguay. So it's hard to say, but it gives him a second chance to win the title. So, and for Blicky, well, it's a bitter season, but I think it wasn't catastrophic either. We'll see if he tries again next season if you want.
Definitely. Yeah, Raidman makes it 3 out of 3 finals. He's got 1 victory and is going to look for a second one here. Boxa making the final last season, but falling just short, literally meters, costing him the title last time. So Calamity, any predictions on this one?
Yeah, it's a really hard one to predict, and I think we're actually let's leave the predictions until after we've talked about the maps, because that will be important as well.
So you want to switch over to those now then? Okay, well then here are the maps. So we've already know their map picks as they are live and they can play them anytime. Box is sticking with his home country and the game he won last season in the final in Germany. Raidman, for the first time, no more Singapore, maybe because we already played in the regular season. This time picking a home region in Poland, Lower Silesia, and then of course AI generated world again as our decider third map should we need it. So yeah, Calamity, Raidman shaking it up a little bit, but Box is sticking with what he knows.
Yeah, you said we actually played Singapore already during the season, but Division 1 didn't. It was in week 10 where Division 1 was already done with
That's right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, Boxer won his pick of Germany last season as well, even though it came down to a single point. And I think he's very confident about his home country in that regard. So it's not surprising that he picked it again. For Raidman, Lower Silesia, I'm going to assume that's where he lives. Because otherwise the pick doesn't make too much sense to me. It is a relatively large region in Poland, but at the same time, it still isn't large enough so that you would normally have any problems finding out where you are, because it is actually pretty well signed. You'll find signs pointing you towards road numbers relatively often. So the question will be, will we have around that somewhere sort of very rural in a small town? If we do, then it might give him a bit of an advantage. I think if we don't, then it's just gonna end up playing out similarly to Singapore, where in 3 minutes both of them should be able to find out where they are. Then it'll just come down to who might be better at pinpointing. And if Raidman can win his pick again, also, by the way, I looked it up just in terms of a size comparison, because I thought that'd be quite interesting, and because I think probably very few people actually know where Lower Silesia might be and how big it is. It's comparable. The most similar in terms of area country is Slovenia. So it's really not that small of a region, but still, yeah, as I said, with a lot of signs, probably shouldn't be too difficult. And then the AI generated world as a decider, as always. They've
Anything.
literally
It says anything goes. So.
yeah. They've literally just played it in the semifinal where Raidman would have come out slightly on top. But yeah, I think even for an AI generated world, which tends to be quite difficult a lot of the times, that was a sort of out of the ordinary difficult seed. So I think we might just go back to being very, very close to perfect scores from both of them.
Very nice. Yeah, Tall.
Well, I don't have a lot of things to say about these picks. I'm just happy to not play this final. But maybe the fact that Rainman decided to not play in Singapore as he was used to, and that it shows a more familiar region, makes me think that he's not very comfortable about this final. So this is something that can work in Boxa's side, I think. But well, we'll see. It's hard for me to say who has the advantage. I'm not at the level to know. Personally, playing Germany, even with a map made by mappers, scares me a bit more. So, well, but I have reasons to support both players. Honestly, I can't choose a side. Both impressed me equally, and I like them. So, considering the whole season, I felt that Boxa was more comfortable, more in control. So, but it wouldn't be robbed for Redman if he won. So he would have to come down to small details once again, probably. So may the best man win. I don't know if it's clear enough that I don't want to choose sides, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting finals in any case.
Yeah, and Raidman's big advantage, I think, in this one is that his pinpointing has always been really good. Like his number of aces are always high. He's got, three perfect games this season.
Yeah, so is boxes though. Raidman is 4 boxes free actually. They've been relatively close in terms of aces. It's gonna be super
slight edge,
close,
but it's really close. So I think it'll come down to the third map and just the round locations that they get. So Boxa will probably take Germany, Raidman Lower Silesia, and then just if there's enough rounds where they're more familiar with it than their opponent in the 5 in the final map, that'll decide it pretty much. But what I think we saw last season was just like 1 point and a couple of meters decided everything, and so it could very well become that all over again in this one for sure. So yeah, definitely. Well, let us know who you think will win this final in the comments below, and we will hopefully bring you that matchup as well. So we'll have 3 maps to cast. That'll be a fun one to do as we watch that unfold and crown our champion of season 4 for Reddit League. And we'll see you all there. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.